everybody. Welcome to PoddiMouths, the podcast about everything and at the same time, nothing. I am John Quaddy, here with my cohort, Nick Kubik. Nick, what's shaking bacon?
Oh, bacon. Well, I'm sure our listeners know, or our listener knows that we just came off the coffee podcast, or our last podcast about coffee, tea, and all things energy inducing, and then you just mentioned bacon. Now I'm hungry. I have my coffee, but now I'm hungry.
I love bacon.
Bacon is, you just can't go wrong with bacon.
Why don't we do a podcast about bacon?
Call it the Baconator. No, wait, that's already taken. That's probably trademarked. We're probably going to have to pay out the nose for that now, too. Is that Hardee's or Arby's or what fast food chain?
It's one of those D's.
Yeah.
B's and D's.
For destruction.
Yes.
So John, what's our topic of the podcast today?
Today, our topic is...
Like we really have a topic.
Know.
Come on.
I know, really. Well, I can't believe you're asking me. Boy, talk about putting the heat on. The topic...
hey,
I have to act like it's something we've been planning for a long time. Nick, hold on. Wait. I have all of our topics right here, Nick. Right here. Here's my list. It's 5,800 topics, and today we've chosen... customer service.
We have terrible customer service here at PoddiMouths.
It's ridiculously terrible. But if you want to be put on hold, call us.
That's right. Yeah, but we only do have our fan, and they just keep that fan keeps blowing up our phones.
Well, and we thank him for doing that.
Wherever
I
him
assumed
her
it
might
was my
be.
mother. I thought it was my mom for a long time.
I could go so many places with that. I'm just going to leave that one alone.
Sometimes that's the best decision.
Yes, and I make it public by telling everyone that's the decision I just made.
You did. Well done. Well played, sir. So, talking about customer service, which obviously we've been planning on doing for the longest time because it's, well, let's just face it, customer service is a big deal. And look, let's be honest. As I get older, customer service is a way bigger deal to me than it used to be. True for you too there, Nick?
Well, it is true for me, but I think that's just the industry or industries as a whole. I think that's just the expectation as a whole nowadays when it comes to any business. I know that you and I, in our current positions, that's what we preach to all of our dealerships that we deal with on a daily basis, our car dealerships. One of the things, and I'll say it, I'll probably tick off a lot of and hopefully our fan is not a car dealer, but it could be because we do have a lot of friends in the car business. I think that is, and preface it even more. I tell my dealers this all the time, so I really won't get in trouble because they've heard me say this. We are slow to adapt. We're slow to catch up. And one of the things that we have to catch up to, one of the ways that our customers want to buy from us now is in a form of customer service that we have to show them. It's an experience. And that experience comes from having, terrific customer service. And if we can't master that, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, if you can't master customer service, you're not going to make any money. You're going to lose out to your competitor that is willing to give that customer a truly, wait for it, a truly exceptional experience.
Ooh, I got the chills.
Yeah. They've taken that out of the survey for Nissan, though, I think. Do they have it in the other? Well, yeah, the chills. No, the truly exceptional experience. I think they had that in all OEM surveys. I do remember that, though, in the Nissan survey most recently.
Yeah, it comes down to definition, of course, then. What would you define as a truly exceptional, and what does define a truly exceptional experience? Anytime you try and make it subjective, then it becomes a little more difficult to define. And that's where I think, well, let's continue in the car business just for a moment. That's where I feel like automotive satisfaction surveys and indices have failed over the long term because they're measuring something that is not consistent, and that is very much subjective. Client satisfaction. Instead, what they should have been measuring over time is loyalty, because loyalty
Absolutely.
is definable. Loyalty is something that pays the bills, not satisfaction. Because frankly, I don't care how satisfied somebody is if they buy their next car from somebody else.
And I did hear along those same lines the definition of a truly exceptional experience, or of a of what you were talking about in the surveys of people's expectations when they go to a dealer or to any business. And that is, did our service meet or exceed your expectations? Well, if you go to a business once, they probably meet and hopefully they exceed your expectations. But if you have the same experience when you go back, does that exceed your expectations? It never does, because that's what you expect, right? So to measure it on those terms, you're exactly right. That's not a good way to measure your customer service. It should be on loyalty. If you've given them such a great experience, are they going to come back? And are they going to come back time and time again? That's the true measure. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. And I think we miss that sometimes, not just as an industry in automotive, but I think across the board. We try to, there's that fleeting moment of desire to define what somebody is. Are they happy with what and frankly, we can manage expectations more effectively than we give ourselves credit for too. What those expectations are really has to do with what we have defined them to be, and what those people are looking for when they come in. Here's my favorite example. I think about probably one of my favorite burger places is In-N-Out. Have you done In-N-Out burgers before, Nick?
I have once in my life
Just
in
once?
Los Angeles. Just once.
Okay.
It was a LA experience. I was there for school, and it was just something that I had to do. But I have not tried it since. I don't even remember the taste. It's very sad.
Oh my gosh, that is sad, and you need to get back there, because it is primarily a West Coast. I think they have one in Dallas now. I could be wrong, but it seems to me I saw that somewhere. They're spreading out slowly across the country. Denver, I think, as well.
Which is crazy, because it's not a new chain, a new chain whatsoever. It's fairly old, and for it to, and I think you're probably going this direction when you talk about customer service. It's probably one of the reasons that it is going slowly. They're making a good business decisions as they go, instead of just throwing out a whole bunch of them and trying to build as many and hope they succeed. They're actually probably doing it the correct way, because
we've seen that business model in the past. Yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What I think of is, I'm not throwing fire at anybody, but look at what's the donut place? Not Dunkin' Donuts, but what's the other one?
Are you talking about
yes,
Timmy's?
No. It's a bigger. It's been around longer, and it's the. Why can I not think of it? Sorry, Krispy Kreme. That's it. Thank you.
Krispy Kreme.
I knew you'd know it. Krispy Kreme. I'm just kidding. kidding.
Thank you.
Krispy Kreme tried to grow, and this was back in the early 2000s, I would guess. They tried to grow exponentially. And so they were opening stores as fast as they could open stores. And what they found was they opened stores way beyond the demand for the donuts, and probably having to do with the experience that was delivered as well. You can't, what happens then, it puts a stress on training people, on hiring the right people. The right people are the ones who deliver the effective experiences in the first place. But anyway, that's one example of a business trying to grow too fast. What happens then? They had to close down a bunch of their new stores, and their stock took quite a bath because of it too. I think so. When I look at businesses that have done so very effectively, to your point, like In-N-Out Burger, and I have to tell you, they manage expectations very well. In-N-Out Burger, if you're looking to go in there and get, something that's completely different, something you want, well, I got to have ice cream and I have to. They do very few things, but they do them all well. I think that's kind of the hit behind In-N-Out Burger, is that they are always trying to do the things that they do very, very well. So their burgers, you can order them a certain way, like animal style, I think is one. And I'm hoping I'm not mixing up manufacturers, but they're ones that have these fabulous burgers. Yes, the taste is great. The food is tremendous, but the service is so consistent every place you go. And that's one thing that really amazes me, is how people are looking for one experience and they leave with a completely different one. And it is a franchise, or it is a franchise that has excelled at its own speed. And In-N-Out, I think, as you pointed out, Nick, has done that very, very well. They haven't tried to do it too fast. And so therefore, the experience they deliver is pretty consistent across the board.
And let's talk about another one that we're talking about, a little bit of Chick-fil-A here. The fantastic business. Now, I don't frequent Chick-fil-A, but I know a lot of people that do. A lot of people down here absolutely love Chick-fil-A. I don't think the food is that spectacular, but the customer service is tremendous. And I think it goes a long way. I would much rather go back to a restaurant that has excellent customer service and just okay food. You're obviously going to want something that has great food, but I would trade off customer service for great food. I'd much rather.
See, now this is a really good point, and I'm glad you brought it up and broke it out like that. If you went to a place, any place, it doesn't matter, pick your favorite restaurant and one that you frequent over and over. If it had great food but lousy service, would you be as likely to go back?
Not as likely. Now, I would, because I'm stubborn like that. But no, I would much rather do a restaurant that has okay food but excellent customer service.
And I think that's for most people. I think that's how most folks look at it, that you can and look, even if they have decent service, decent food, there is another element of customer service that comes into play as well, like recognition, for example. They know who you are, they know your preferences, and that falls under the customer satisfaction and customer service element as well, I think.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there are pieces of it that come into play, but truly, if the food is terrible, it doesn't matter how good the service is.
Very true.
And truly, if the service is terrible, it doesn't matter how good the food is. I'm not going to go back.
That's exactly
the only exception might be Ed DeBevick's.
Is that the one
Have you ever been to an Ed DeBevick's?
They throw the buns at you?
Yes. Well, not literally, but I think they do.
Yeah.
It's one, and I've been to a couple of them. And the first one I went to, and I had no idea what to expect, but we're dressed for a business lunch, and we got to go to Ed DeBevick's. I said, okay, well, fine. I've never been there. It's like a diner. And we walked in the front door, and the greeter, if you can call her that, said, "What do you want?" Well, we're just here for lunch, and we just had, how many? 4 of you. Okay, go in the back, table number 12. Tell her I sent you, and if you don't like the table, tough. It's like they abused you throughout lunch like that, and it was funny, but at the same time, anybody who's been there before expects it, and it's part of entertainment. It's part of the show,
entertainment,
I guess.
But on the same token, they're making fun of you. But look at the service as a whole. They're still very attentive, right? They get the food out to you in a decent amount of time. The food's not too bad.
It's delicious.
And, they're still, yes, they're making fun of you. Yes, they're being quote unquote rude, but their service levels are still very high. So you can tell that they're very well trained in even this type of interaction with people. So,
absolutely
there's still a service level there. If you don't get that service level, if your food's late, if it's cold, if it's crap, again, it doesn't matter how good the food is. If you're late and you're mean and not supposed to be, you're not going to go back.
Mean and not supposed to. Hey, I'm supposed to be mean. Try that if you're trying to improve your customer satisfaction.
Exactly. Yep.
So, how about?
Go ahead. No, I was going to say the same thing goes for car business too. I just bought a car for my wife, and I didn't buy it local, and I hate to say that I bought it at a dealership that I was visiting in Indiana. Because their customer service impressed me. A car is a car is a car. It doesn't matter where you buy it. If you buy a new car, you buy it in Nashville, you buy it in Madison, the same same car is going to be in either place. And in fact, they might even pull it from that other place. So
that's true.
A car is a car is a car. So what sets a dealership apart? It's not necessarily price. Yeah, you can get a really good deal somewhere else, but for the most part, depending on which manufacturer you're going to, you might not get that much difference in price. So is it really worth going 100 miles to get $1,000 off a car when you spent a couple $100 getting up there? I know 100 miles is not a lot, but let's say I know customers that will drive 500 miles, stay overnight, and then come back to save $1,000 on a car.
I know people that will do that to save $100, and
I do too.
And as silly as it sounds, it's true.
It is true. So, I mean, that's a whole different topic there. But so my point is, you can get the same car for about the same price pretty much anywhere. What sets a dealership apart is their customer service. How do they treat you? How fast are you in there? How fast are you out? How good is your experience after the purchase? Are you going to come back? To your point, to the loyalty, and for me and you and I are a little bit different. We get to know these people. We get to know the people that are in dealerships. So I will follow people around to different dealerships. There is a gentleman that worked here in Nashville at one of the local dealerships. He ran the dealership. He was the general manager, and I did all my service there. If I was buying a car, I would probably buy it from him, and then he left. So I no longer go to that dealership because the experience might be just as good. I don't know. I haven't been there since, but he was the reason I went to that dealership. I am loyal to that gentleman, and he had left Nashville. Now, he's back. So, would I go all the way up to Indiana to buy another car? I don't know. Maybe not. Their customer service was impeccable, but this gentleman is back at a dealership here in the Nashville area. So I might start servicing my cars down there, and I might buy from him. It's a trust level. It's an experience level. And, that's what customers are looking for, is that sort of experience.
So let's talk about that for a moment, because it brings up an interesting concept. And that is, you had the relationship with that one gentleman. Is there anything the dealership could do beyond what he did to encourage your future business? I mean, could they essentially steal you away from him? Is there something they could have done to make that happen?
Oh, absolutely. However, I might be loyal to him, but he is also the manager. And for me, and I teach this all the time, I consult on this all the time, all of the things that happen inside your dealership come from the top down. And you need to train, and you need to have set expectations for everyone to follow within that dealership. If that dealership maintains that process that he had in place, which I know it didn't, because I know other people that are there and I know what things change. So that's part of it too. So again, not to beat a dead horse, but I have an insight into the businesses that most people don't have. So my experience is going to be different from the person, my neighbor point, who goes to the same store. So I'm fully aware of that. So, but in this case, the reason I enjoyed my experience there was not necessarily just because of this one gentleman, which I did. He's a good friend of mine, so I did enjoy that. But at the same time, his expectations for his employees, his processes that he had in place for his employees, really made a difference when it came to the service levels at that store. If they were able to maintain those service levels after he left, and were able to duplicate everything that they were doing while he was in charge, then absolutely I would go back. It had very little to do with that one gentleman per se. Mm-hmm. It had everything to do with the way he managed his people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. That makes sense. So how I guess the thing we look at is customer service to us is really based on our own perception. And that can come from a lot of different things. I said earlier about managing expectations. What do people expect when they come in? And if they have higher expectations, to your point earlier, Nick, somebody has a good experience one time, do they expect a good experience every time? Well, of course they do. But what defines that good experience? Is it the fact that we wash their car every time they bring it in for service? Is it the fact that I recognize them and know them by name when they come in? I mean, I can replicate those things. Those are things we can do every single time without too much effort expended. But there may be things that, only one individual person can do. And I'm not sure what that is. If you share experiences with somebody or if you've known them for a long time, the idea behind that, though, to me is all about making sure that what they expect is not more than what you're planning to deliver.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you make a great point. We'll use Starbucks as an example. It has a lot to do with process too. A lot of it is personality. If you have the right personality, you're going to give an exceptional experience no matter what business you're in. That being said, there are a lot of these things can be taken care of just by implementing a specific process. We'll use Starbucks as the example. You go to Starbucks, you give your order, they ask for your name, they put your name on the cup, and when they call it, they are required to yell out your name. And some people have fun. Customers have fun with it, and they'll change the name to make it sound dirty or make it sound funny. But at Starbucks, they are required to say the name no matter what. That's part of the experience. That's part of making customers, I don't know why, but part of making customers feel like they exist, that they're there.
It's that recognition thing we talked about earlier.
It's the recognition. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's all a process. It's part of that process that they've built in, that they do at every single store. It's part of their training. And that makes your experience at Starbucks similar, no matter whether you're in Seattle or you're in Florida. It doesn't matter. You're going to have that experience as long as the people are trained well.
You talk about the name, and I remember something funny from Facebook where a guy had taken a picture of his cup with the name written on it, and his name was Mark, M-A-R-C. And so when he put in the drink order, he said, "My name is Mark with a C." Well, what they had written on the cup was C-A-R-K. So the smell of Mark with a C, C-A-R-K. So they're yelling his name, Kark. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's too funny.
It's Mark with a C.
Mark with a C. Oh, that's funny.
So sometimes customer satisfaction and customer service, even with the proper process in place, can backfire. So what's important is we constantly monitor how we're doing with that. If you're not paying attention to how well you're fulfilling what customer expectations are, then you're in trouble, because you may think, well, I have a process in place, so this must be the right way to do it. But that doesn't matter if it's not really hitting the pavement. If that's not what's actually happening, then you're going to hit roadblocks. So Nick, when you say process, you could not be more correct, but it's making sure that we pay attention to what's going on with that process. How consistently is it being executed? And when it is it being done so effectively?
Inspect what you expect.
Oh, look at you being all smart.
Car businessy. Oh, I learned that from the car business. I hear that from GMs all the time. And it's not just this is another area I think that customer service wise, all businesses either succeed very well or fail miserably. It's not just in the store anymore. And now we have said, everyone, I think all of our listener know that we are digital marketing professionals. So most of our business is behind the scenes. It's zeros and ones. It's digital marketing. We are teaching our dealerships to be savvy online and to share this customer experience, not just in their stores, but everywhere, online, social media, all of those areas. And I think there are a number of businesses that might do very well online that might do very well in their store, but they don't do very well online when it comes to customer experience.
Great point.
I'll use car business, and I apologize to our fan who might be sick of us talking about the car business, but it's what we know right now. it was a perfect example. Someone had, I think it was Mr. Craig Polito, I'll give him full credit, that once said about a dealer's website versus their in-store greeting. If you go to a website or if you walk into a showroom and you are greeted by a salesperson, that salesperson said, "Hey, welcome to ABC Dealership. It's great to see you today. We have sales on this, 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 and this. But hey, check out our service department. And, it's a fantastic service department. But, oh, by the way, have you seen the deal on this Armada? Or, hey, check out this GMC Silverado, not Silverado. Ooh, I went way. Check out the Chevy Silverado or this GMC Yukon, because we have 0% for 72 months. And, by the way, do you know a little bit about us? Here's our history.
Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Pop up.
Exactly. Pop up. Right. Oh, you want to chat? Go ahead and chat with us. Let's go to this page. We have tons of vehicles. Do you want to know the price on all the vehicles? Well, you have to click this button. You're not going to say that to a customer when they walk in. So why would you say that to them on their website? Why would you be so in their face with all of the bells and whistles? And we're guilty about it in the car business. Yeah. We still push it. We still do it. But there's some change, hopefully, in the industry where we're backing down from that.
And it's not just the personalization is one. That's a great point, Nick.
No, it's not the car business.
It's not. It's there are many other businesses, and what's the beauty of our being in digital marketing is it makes us experts, and frankly, everybody. We're experts at what it's like to be a consumer online. If you've ever been to Amazon, if you've ever been to, not the river, I'm talking about the website. If you've ever been to eBay, or you've ever been to any retail site on the internet, you know what works. You know what doesn't work. And I hate pop-up windows. And if something pops up in my face, it's not working. And I'm not going to do business with that website or that business. So we know what to look for, and we know what works and what doesn't work. We just have to make sure that we look at it the same way from our own businesses. What works and what doesn't work. And if you think that, well, the customer wants to know everything all at once and they have to have it all right in their faces, and you would be mistaken. As long as they can get what they need and they can access it, that's really all they need to know. That's digital customer service. And that's what we have to engage in.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. When it comes to your online lifestyle, are you more of a mobile shopper or are you a desktop shopper? And whichever one you choose, you had mentioned pop-ups. Where does it annoy you more, desktop or mobile?
Oh, well, different answers. First of all, I do most of my research on a desktop because I can, and I have an office that's specifically for that. If I were a millennial answering that question, that would not be correct. My son does everything on his phone and has very little need whatsoever for anything beyond his phone. And that's fine. His eyes are better than mine are. And that's what I think really defines it for me. If I want to see stuff, I need to throw my glasses on, my cheaters on, and look at it online. That's where I'm going to get a better picture. Now that might happen on my desktop. Typically it will, because as I said, I have the office, but it might also happen on an iPad, or it might also happen on my phone. Most often though, it's in my office for research. When it comes to pricing for me is either done when I'm in the moment and I'm ready to buy something, or it's done in advance. If it's done in advance, again, I'm probably on my desktop. If it's done when I am in condition to think about doing something, or I'm ready to buy something today, or I'm already shopping, then it's on my phone. And I've gotten a lot more adept at using my phone. Pop-ups bother me the most on my phone, just because it's like it takes over the screen. It bothers me also on my desktop, but with a 22-inch screen, I don't really care, or I don't care as much. It still annoys me, but much more so on my phone.
Yeah, it's so hard to click it off. There's the pop-ups on the phone, they're so hard to click off. It's like you keep trying to hit the button, then you go to the pop-up. Oh, it's ridiculous. No,
yeah, and is there an X? Is there an X, or is there? Do you just need to click off screen or off the pop-up? Whatever. It just I agree with you. It makes me crazy.
Now, I do think that there's a time and a place for a pop-up. There are some things that I go to. Shopping, I don't think pop-ups are necessarily needed. But if I go to a website where I'm researching, if I'm doing research and I find that particular website fascinating or the information that it's sharing and it asks me to join their newsletter, I enjoy the pop-up because I'm not going to go searching for it. But a pop-up to chat or a pop-up for another sale item that might be happening on, I know they don't do it on Amazon, but I'll use Amazon as the example. If I go to Amazon and a window pops up and said, hey, save 30% on this, I don't want that. Because that's not what I'm looking for. Now, take a step back. Amazon has a great personalized experience, so that probably would never happen. Or if it did happen, it would be something I did want, but I may not want to buy it at that particular time. That being said, though, I'm right there with you. Pop-ups drive me absolutely nuts unless there's a true use for it. But I do most of my research, most of my shopping, most everything on my phone, and I'm not a millennial. I'm what I like to refer to as a. Well, no, there's a stretch.
No,
I like to stretch.
You're old.
Stretch is good.
You are an old geezer just like me.
My wife and I talk about we are actually considered cuspers in many respects because we're right on that cutoff. So some of our personality does float over into the millennial area, but a lot of it is still Gen Xers. Or not Gen Xers. Gen X is millennial.
No, Gen Y is millennial.
Gen Y. That's right. I can't even. I must not be a millennial because I can't even spell.
I know.
I'm getting old. XYZ, not YXZ. Anywho, and then of course we have to bring up the Gen Zers. That's an up and coming generation. I don't know if my daughter falls into that generation. She's 8. I'm not sure where the generation cuts off. There's never really a clear line of generations, anyways. But
no, agreed.
A lot of these kids, she is part of that generation that has never experienced life without technology, without a smartphone, without a smart TV. I love telling this story. It hasn't happened as much anymore, but the very first time I brought my daughter to a hotel, we went to St. Louis for a wedding. And we went to a hotel and I turned on the TV and it was not a smart TV because hotels hadn't quite flipped over to the smart TV and there's still quite a few that haven't, but there are a few that are. So I found the Disney Channel. I think she was probably 5 at the time, found the Disney Channel and put it on and she was watching her normal Disney program. And then all of a sudden a commercial came on and she's like, Daddy, what's wrong with the TV? I think it changed channels. This program is on. Why can't I see my Mickey? And I had to explain to her what a commercial was because she had never seen one. We had cut the cord in 2012. So she was born in 2010. So she has never experienced regular TV up until that point.
Wow.
And I think a lot of kids in that generation are going to have those experiences. And I think a lot of them, going back to the customer service side of things, are going to expect quite a bit more from the digital side of things, the digital customer experience. Now, I think research shows that a lot of these kids are going to start shopping more in a brick and mortar store. So the customer service experience will have to be a lot better than the Gen Y, the millennials. So it's still important that we focus on them as well.
Interesting. Very, very cool. And you talk about younger people and just in terms of the processes you mentioned earlier, one other burger place, I guess I'm telling you a little bit about my eating habits that I frequent, and they're becoming more prevalent, but I think they originated here in Wisconsin, and that is Culver's.
Oh, geez, the butter burger?
Butter burger. Oh, my goodness. That's so delicious.
I have honestly never had a Culver's butter burger.
Oh, dude,
they had them
you need to.
They had them. There was one that went up when I was a junior in high school in my hometown in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I never tried it.
You sir have lived a sheltered life.
I really have.
So they have many of their counter staff and other workers too, are high school kids. And so not only are they hiring them, giving them part-time work and so on, which is pretty cool just in itself, but they have processes in place that they're teaching them what to do, and they're really good at executing them. And I really have to say that I'm quite appreciative that some of these kids who, if you saw them on the street, would not even look you in the eye and would not know what to say when they greet you, either at the drive-up window or especially in person at the counter. I'm amazed at the service they give and how, hi, may I be of assistance, or how may I help you today, and what can I get for you? And just the stuff that you would expect someone to say, but not necessarily a high school kid. And so I just appreciate that, the fact that, again, it's not just the process, but it's how you execute it. And obviously the managers are paying attention to how that's being delivered.
Absolutely. And how are their salads?
They're delicious, although I've heard that I've heard that from my wife more than I can actually say it myself. I have had their salads, though. I have.
Oh, I was just kidding. Any fast food restaurant, you always ask their calories at their salad calories. Yeah, you know what I mean. And most fast food restaurants are just as bad as their burgers. So you might as well just enjoy yourself and have a burger, right?
Thank you. That's what I'm glad I didn't have to do that research myself.
Well, one thing our listeners probably curious about is, and they might be a small business owner or might want to start their own business, and what kind of resources are out there for this type of training to learn about the best customer service. And there's one that just I've been dying to talk about it since we started the podcast, and they have actually made a business out of consulting on this as well. It's a really small company. You may not have ever heard of them, but they are probably known to be one of the best customer service training companies in the world. Again, you may not have heard of them. It's this little bitty company called Disney. And they actually have a whole wing of their business that they will go out and they will train people on the customer service practices of Disney and their parks and so on and so forth. And I know several dealerships that have done that training. I know some other companies that have implemented Disney training to really hone in their customer service. And I just think that's a fascinating idea for business.
It really is. And I agree with you. I have seen much of the same, Disney especially, where people have gone physically on site at one of the Disney properties and learned some of the elements of what they do. And it's pretty amazing. It really is.
It's incredible. And it's everybody. It's not just the characters are very well trained. They have set processes, but that process goes from the top character all the way down to someone who's sweeping the street in the middle of the night. They're all trained the exact same way, and they're all customer focused. Everything they do is customer focused. If you can't make the customer happy, there's something desperately wrong, and then it needs to be addressed immediately, and it usually is by someone who has the authority to do so.
Brings up a really good point. Just real quickly, if I can just interject, everybody needs to be trained when it comes to customer service. It's not just about training the frontline people or anyone like that, because anyone can impact the customer's perspective of what happened. And the best thing we have working in our favor is recency. It's the last thing that happened to people is the thing they remember the most. So we want to make sure when they leave that they get an exceptional experience, a reminder of what a great experience they had while they were there. And that often only comes from making sure others who are delivering that final send-off are as well trained as the people who are delivering the initial greeting when they first come in.
Yeah. And you and I travel a lot. I've said that times. One of the best experiences along those same lines. When I go to a hotel, I don't usually visit the front desk before I leave because I don't have to anymore. You check out on the app, you leave your keys in the room, and you're done. You can just walk out, and if you park in the right spot, you could use one of the side doors, right? But every time when I leave in the morning, and there's a cleaning staff member in the hallway, if I get greeted, and a lot of them will say, I hope you have a great day. I hope you had a great stay. Yep. Thank you for staying with us. That's an incredible experience. They don't have to. They're just there to clean the room, but they're trained that if you're within 10 feet, you make eye contact, you thank the customer, and move on. And that is true customer experience in just the easiest possible way. It doesn't take very much effort. It doesn't take really that much training as long as you just do it and you're sincere about it.
Excellent point. I think, as I said, everybody is an expert when it comes to customer satisfaction and customer experience. We know what we want because we're all consumers. And to me, it's just a matter of making sure that as a business, we deliver that. And no matter what your business is, or if you're thinking of starting a business, a lot of it has to do with how you can move forward with that. And it all comes around to, it's either made or broken by your customer service levels. How well are you meeting the expectations of that customer?
Absolutely. And I truly believe, I grew up with it, and I teach my daughter this. I stick to it all the time. And that's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And if you live by that motto, I think you as a customer service professional, or just customer service in general, when it comes to expectations with other people, whether you're in retail, whether you're a phone solicitor, or whether you are cleaning the streets of Disney in the middle of the night, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and you'll win every single time.
Amen, brother.
Well, Mr. Quaddy, I think we've reached the end of the PoddiMouths podcast for the day. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining us. See, I'm trying to do the customer service thing. Is it working?
You are. I bought into it.
Oh, good. You were getting there. Well, I wanted all of our listener to remember to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And you can also, if you'd like to help us out and keep our podcast running and help us learn a little bit more and make our topics a little bit less focused, more focused, sponsor us on Patreon. We have a Patreon account, and, give us, throw us a few bones here and there, and we can keep this dream alive, keep our conversations flowing, our potty mouths flowing.
Keep our potty mouths flowing. Yes.
Keep our potty mouths flowing. You can find us on all those different channels with just typing in or searching PoddiMouths, and join us, reach out to us, ask us questions, and help us with some topics. If there's something that you want us to discuss, make fun of, or just be taken on a general tangent somewhere else, let us know. John, anything else you want to say?
We are good at taking on things on tangents. So if you want something abused, then let's shine some light on some stuff. We're more than happy to do that.
We both suffer from this disease called tangentitis. It comes from Tangiers.
Tangiers. Yeah. No, sorry. That's not a place.
Sorry. Okay. It's not?
No.
Oh, man. I've been living in a dream world then.
You have indeed.
But that's what this PoddiMouths podcast is. It's a dream world.
It is indeed. That was dream sound effects.
I thought you were a cat. Okay. Anyway, John, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick.
You want to take us out?
I would love to. Thanks to our listener. We are so happy to have you out there. And if you brought in an extra one, Mom, I want to say hi to you as well. It's awesome to have you all out there, and we appreciate it. Always good to have you. And please do what Nick said. Go out and meet us out on social media. We would love to hear from you and hear more and get some ideas about what you would like to hear more of. Have a great, awesome rest of the day. We'll talk to you soon.